So I've mentioned this before, and it is pretty much always worth repeating. You're not you when you're pumped. You know, it's like that fucking commercial. You're not you when you're hungry. Right? You got to have a little bit of context with how you're looking at any given moment, right? When I'm fully pumped, like, I was even looking at the last, it was like the thumbnail of the last back day. Doing like a crucifix here, lats are extra big, arms are extra veiny because I just finished a workout. Like that's extra, you know, you're in an extra kind of heightened state of just coolness, you know, and you got to be able to really understand that that is extra, right? In your baseline, how you look just as a normal dude, or not as a normal dude, but for the most part of the day, that's how you really look. And I think the issue is, you know, when people get real body dysmorphic, is for one thing, they're comparing themselves to people's coolest pictures. And they're kind of forgetting the fact that even anybody, even every fucking any bodybuilder character, when they're fully pumped in the gym, they just took pre-workout, literally a supplement made to make you more vascular and veiny. Yeah, no wonder they're gonna look extra cool. So if you kind of don't have that connection in your mind, then of course you're gonna see this guy looking like a total nutcase on your Instagram feed and then say, oh, I mean, I feel pretty cool when I'm pumped, but man, I look like shit all the time. No. You gotta flip your approach around, right? You look how you look normally, and when you're pumped up, you just look extra cool. So if you can be comfortable with your normal state of being and understand when you're pumped up that that's extra, then you just come back down to your normal state. I think the logic that most people have is they kind of spoil themselves in a way, and they think that when they're fully pumped and veiny and cool looking, that that's normal, and that when they're walking around without a pump, they look like shit. Awful approach. Truly awful approach, in my opinion. So if you can get out of that thought process, the sooner the better. But this is a little bit closer to a representation of how I'm looking just normally after 30 minutes of cardio and no pump whatsoever. So this will kind of serve as a near end of diet torso check-in a sense. So let's just run through a couple classics here. Whew. Okay, one more vacuum, and then we can cut to the pre-lift or pre-lift car talk. It's 9:15 now-ish. No, is it 10? Yeah, whatever. Morning. Okay. Let's get in the car and talk about legs. Cardio done. Truly a perfect day. Little on the hot side, I will admit, but otherwise rather nice, you know. I'm not particularly seasonal, right? I'm not necessarily gonna say that I'm a diehard summer fan or that I love winter or whatever else, but there definitely is something to not having to get in your car and like be freezing for 5 minutes before it starts to heat up. And it's reasonably dry. I'd say the only kind of weather I'm really not a massive fan of is fucking rain. Ugh. Now, if I'm inside, whatever, but I'm talking about getting rained on. Not my favorite. You know, not my favorite. But enough about me. enough about me. What's the plan for this beautiful evening? I am, well, you already know. You read the title. You know the workout schedule. Right? The time is for legs. What am I planning on doing? Hamstrings first, followed by quads, followed by adductors, followed by calves. Hamstrings, probably a lot of leg hamstring curl. This gym has a lot of leg curls that I really like, but there is a single leg standing leg curl machine that's perfect too. That'll be the brunt of the hamstring work. And then once I'm a bit pre-exhausted already, I'll add in some RDL of some sort, be it barbell, honestly probably Smith machine if I had to guess. Reasonably heavy too. I'm talking, I might get into the 3-plate range. Pretty much just as heavy as I can go without feeling like I'm just working all glutes and lower back. Because, every time I talk about RDLs, it is kind of tricky to, there's no chance you'll ever truly be able to just isolate your hamstring, but the more you can get your glutes and lower back out of it, the better. So that's something that kind of took me a while to get into. I never did RDLs I didn't do RDLs for years, not until I actually kind of pretty much get the hang of them. But now I do like it. But I'm definitely more of a fan of hamstring curls. But I think a good mix is probably your best bet. Then once hamstrings are completely wrecked, 2 sets of leg extensions, maybe 3 to be determined, and then I'll get into heavy pressing. Probably going to start with Smith machine squats. The racks at this gym, I don't necessarily love them. There is a set of racks that I do like, but there's no safeties, and squatting without safeties is not something I'm particularly interested in doing, especially since I know I want to take these sets pretty much right to failure, if not to failure. So no safeties. Look, I'm used to very high loads, but in a very controlled manner. The last thing I want to do is have to jump forward out from underneath. I'm talking like 500 fucking pounds, If you're an experienced like Olympic weightlifter and you know what you're doing, then whatever, fuck the safeties. But even then, you never know. I'll have reps where I just fucking lose my balance and I have to not like crash the weight, but I have to squat back down to the bottom and rack it just because I fell forward, even at how many years and how many sets of squats that I've done so far. So that's let's just say it's never a bad idea to get a spot. It's never a bad idea to put the safety arms up, and if anything, it can protect you from just a random ass unforeseen gamma ray from deep space that makes you lose your focus for a second, and then your fucking quad gives out. I don't even want to think about it. But the whole point of the 2 sets of leg extensions, or the few working sets of leg extensions before the heavy pressing, I could see how that could be a little questionable, because it's like, so Sam, if I want to squat, I want to be strong so I can squat a lot of weight, have some really strong sets, which I agree with. I certainly agree with that. But 2 or 3 hard sets of leg extensions to failure, it just doesn't really destroy your quads enough to be really, inhibited when you move on to squatting. If anything, for me, maybe this just might be a size thing, but when I squat with a leg pump, having my legs already have gone through 2 or 3 sets of leg extensions, be it really heavy or even lighter squeezing, the squatting just feels better, and I can put way more tension into my quads with my heels elevated on a plate. It's a good opener for me. That's like, it kind of serves the purpose as the warm-up that I do before pressing, like on a chest day, because my knees are, if I tried to squat 500 pounds, like as quickly as possible, my knees are going to be sore as all heck. But after doing 2 or 3 leg extension sets, including the warm-ups that, I'm gradually exposing my knees, my MCLs, and every fucking tendon under the sun in between my joints, once I've kind of exposed them to some weight in the warm-ups, then by the time I get to squats, it's pretty smooth fucking sailing, So that's my thoughts there. Because I've squatted as my first movement for quads before without a ton of warming up. Like, I warm up to the point where I'm comfortable with the weight, But I've done sets where it was like, I mean, my quads weren't cold, but they were not as warm as they are now after having done some leg extensions. And I mean, let's just say I'm not going to go back. And then after a really good set of Smith machine squats, maybe 2, but I might even just call it at 1, then I'll, you know, move on to some more kind of machine stuff. There's a hack squat machine that I really like here. I might even just do a straight up hack squat. There's a few leg presses that are kind of cool. I'm not really a leg press kind of guy. If anything, I've actually kind of turned myself away from the leg press just because I haven't really loved it in the past. But, you know, it's been a while since I've even really tried them. Maybe I'm fucking not even giving them a fighting chance. So this will be a solid leg day. And then once hamstrings and quads are done, you know, the real meat and potatoes of the lift, then I'll be able to finish adductors and calves, which is, adductors especially, is a bit more so just, I don't have to get hyped up for a set of adductors. You know, all I'm really doing is making sure I get a solid burn and squeeze for a couple sets until they're fully pumped, and then move on to quads, or move on to calves. There we go. But I think that's all I got. No point talking about it anymore. Let's just get started. Hard to beat leg curls. Oh. One more heavy one like that, and then, well, maybe one more after that, or move on to something else. Good opener. Okay. I think let's just get some RDLs going now. Usually I save them for a little bit too late in the lift, I think. So let's grab the straps. All right. I think 315 is about as heavy as I want to go on these. I don't do a ton of heavy RDLs, so I don't want to, even if physically I could feel like I could do like 4 plates or something, the fact that I'm not really used to this kind of exposure to weight makes me feel a little funky, you know? Like, I would not want to do a set of flat bench as heavy as I can do incline. Even though I could probably manage it, I'm not used to that. So, let's say you haven't squatted for a while. Maybe don't try to squat your max off the rip. I feel like that's a situation where you're asking for trouble. But let's get hyped up, move some weight around. In a controlled manner, of course. Oh. Oh. No. 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 Okay. That's some good hamstring activation. Those last few reps I was using a little too much glutes and lower back. So I think just one more like this, maybe a back off, and then back to some kind of curl. Okay, so I physically probably could have done a few more, but that would be the cost of just using a lot of glutes and lower back. Whew. Don't worry, credit where credit's due. The primary inspiration to add in these heavy RDLs was fucking Mr. Labrada, the beast. Whew. Now, of course, I don't need that much weight compared to him, but I'm definitely feeling a solid fatigue. I think let's go finish off hamstrings with a variety of curls, really pump them up, and then get quads started. I kind of feel like leg day is 2 workouts in one. You know, there's hamstrings, comes with its own set of challenges and difficulties. And once hamstrings is done and out of the way, you've almost got to lock in again. Actually, you definitely do, to get a good quad day in. So, well on a good fucking path. Let's keep this momentum going, if not accelerating. Yeah, so plan here, much lighter than normal. I mean, I was doing, the machine says like 205 pounds earlier on those heavy double leg sets. Now I'm doing single legs, so that drops it by half, but I'm only doing 50 pounds on each leg. So half of the weight, pretty much, compared to those heavier sets earlier. And the purpose of this set is not like muscular annihilation per se. What I'm really trying to do is squeeze hard, get a really good burn, and then just really pump out as many decent reps as possible. This isn't a set where I really care much about swinging, you know? Like, when I do really heavy dumbbell curls, and I'm trying to curl like the 60s for 12 or 15 or whatever, I don't mind putting a little body language in it and forcing that weight up so that I can get the benefit of another good negative, right, as the set progresses, to really kind of intensify it that way. But in sets where you're pretty controlled, it's a lightweight and you're more so going for a burn, you're not going to catch me swinging, at least not too much, if I'm curling like the 20s and I'm really trying to burn out. Because, you know, the sort of spike to fatigue, like the jump from good reps to failure, is much more of a gradient per se. Like when I'm doing heavy hamstring curls, within a period of 3 reps, I go from a good big rep to barely being able to move at all. So in that kind of set, I don't mind forcing a few extras. But with these, I'm doing 5 on one leg, burn, you know, good slow controlled reps, switch to the other one, and I just want to kind of burn out in more of a controlled way, which pretty much fits my fucking logic exactly. I like some hard, heavy sets, even some hard, heavy, nasty sets, but balancing those out with lighter, controlled squeezing sets, that combination pretty much 10 times out of 10, disregarding any random circumstances, I always finish with a solid pump. Now that's just me. Maybe you love more squeezing sets, maybe you love more heavier sets. That's just what works for you. You know, that's up to you to find out. But no more talking. Let's get started. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. 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 Okay. Oh. I think one more just like that. And that might be it. Just, well, let's do the next set and decide how I feel. Okay. Okay. The hamstrings are fucking done. Oh my god. Let's get quads started. Oh. Yeah, I think set or two, or maybe even three of single leg extensions, coupled with some breaking Benjamin. I'll say this is a potentially powerful combination, but let's make it happen. A little heavier. Okay, one or two more. Exact same style. I love that holding reps and then finish with a burnout sort of attempt or approach. You get the idea. That shit burns and I'm developing fatigue. Pretty much the only two fucking boxes I want to check off with all my sets. But let's keep going. Yeah. Yeah. Let's find the fucking Smith machine. Hope it's empty. And get ready to go fucking nuts. Oh, I gotta... Oh my god. That's fucking heavy, man. Holy shit. Okay. Let's lose the 25s. Do a slightly lighter set with just 5 plates. And honestly, this feels fucking sweet. I might camp out here for a little while, as long as they still feel good. But I gotta sit down. Fuck. Yeah, 5 plates in 25. That was a heavy one. Now let's get a lighter set going. Okay. Fuck. I totally had one more. I gave up. Fuck. Well, I'm getting seriously lightheaded. One more with 4 plates. And then let's move on to something else. Holy shit. So if you're curious about the rest periods, I was probably only doing a minute or 2 between those leg extensions and those RDLs and the hamstring curls. I'm taking a fucking few minutes in between these because I need to reach a point where I've caught my breath, my heart rate is lowered to baseline for the workout, and I'm ready to do another good set. Because if I only took a minute in between that first one and this one, I probably would have got fucking 2 reps. Good rule of thumb. You got to catch your breath completely and feel ready to do that same weight again for at least a comparable set. But I got to fucking sit down. Oh my god. Oh, now we're getting real fucking light with a 4-plate set. This one might be a bit more lengthy because I'm not going to be able to catch my breath and suddenly be able to do another plate or another rep of 5 plates in a 25. But with 4 plates, I'll be able to stand up, get a few huffs and puffs, and probably force out a couple more. So all that's left for me to do is get hyped up to shit and throw this shit around. All right, come on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I think that last rep was possible. Good set though. Oh, let's move on to something else. I think those constituted my heavy pressing portion. Those were really good fucking sets. So now, basically with the primary fucking directive to finish off my quad pump, I'm thinking some single leg extensions, 5 reps, 5 reps, 5 reps, 5 reps style, and then immediately supersetted with bodyweight sissy squats. Honestly, probably even just 2 sets. I think my quads will be completely cooked. This is the finishing touches, you know. That initial leg extensions and Smith squats, that's putting the steak in the oven. It's fully cooked, it's medium rare, perfect 130 to 125 degrees. These last 2 sets are the sear, if you care about the cooking sort of reference. But let's hit this shit. Lightweight, but I'm trying to squeeze hard as fuck, or hard as frick. I'm trying to work on the F-bombs. A little heavier. Okay. Holy crap. One more. Pretty much the same style. Last one. But I'm gonna make this one extra intense. Well, I'll make it a little extra more complicated. I'm gonna do that single leg style for a couple sets, like probably 2 or 3 on each side. Then up the weight, double leg, burn out with kind of heavier, nasty reps, and then do the sissy squats. This is a combination of movements which, you know, I'm no mathematician, but I know is gonna add up to a serious amount of blood flow directly into my fucking quads. Okay. I just want to make sure this belt is nice and tight. There we go. Okay. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Okay. Holy crap. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. The main portion of the workout is now fucking complete. Whew. That was really good. I've totally been slacking those pressing sets. And you know what part of it is? Actually, I don't have time to get deep right now. We gotta go check the pump. I'll talk about it after. But hopefully I've got some wise words to say about your training and mine. All right, I'm gonna try to make my legs cool as possible without cutting my head out of frame. But that was a really good fucking leg day. Hamstrings, curling activity, hip hinging activity, quads, nasty activation / warming up activity with those leg extensions, and then some really fucking solid, just brutish work with the Smith machine squats. The only thing I could ask for to make that lift better was to have the strength to have done 6 plates on the Smith machine, just because 6 plates is fucking cool. But 5 and a 25 is all right with me. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around the fact that the weight doesn't matter too much. But, you know, if I'm strong, I want to do a heavy, nasty set. That should be no surprise. So let's run through a couple classics here, and then we can cut to the rest of the leg day. Because don't get excited, it's not over. I've got some more sets. I'm talking calves, adductors, not that there's anything else in between, and everything else in between. But let's, well, I'm about as zoomed as I can get. Actually, oh, got some clear image zoom, thanks to a certain camera company. So you tell me. I think we're working with something here. My fucking legs are so pumped up. The separation between my fucking hamstring and my quad is almost like just a ball of swelled muscle tissue. So this is definitely a good sign on your leg days. If you can just stand up, no flexing, no nothing, and your quads are just fucking stiff, as though you're manually like fucking, you know, trying to squeeze them as hard as possible. I'll just tell you this, that's a good indicator that you're pumped up. And I am definitely fine with this pump, especially for right now, given the fact that I'm fucking depleted. You know, I only had 150 grams of carbs today, right? So this is, let's just say I'm trying to highlight the light at the end of the tunnel of dieting, which is pretty much where I'm at now. There's well, for one thing, there's simply no point in getting too much leaner because I'm just going to bulk up again anyway. I'm not doing a show. But I'm immediately going to have a 10-pound fucking weight jump once I switch from my calorie deficit, which I'm in now, at about 2,500 calories, to whatever I jump to, which, I don't know, probably, I mean, I'm not talking 5,000. A jump that big off the rip is just unnecessary. You know, that's basically like trying to shift from first gear straight to sixth. You know, it's just not going to translate. You have to kind of build up to it, which is something I'll end up talking about a lot more soon. Like, I'm going to say, because I kind of end up talking about whatever I'm doing at that current moment. So right now, you know, I'm fucking dieting. I don't really have much to say about bulking. But once I start bulking up, I'll just be sharing every detail there is related to it. But what I was about to hint at was, if you can diet down consistently, no cheating. Now, if you have the occasional refeed day, like every few weeks, with like, you know, maybe an extra 1,000 calories, just to kind of keep your metabolism spiked, that does not count as cheating. But if you're consistently dieting down, you're losing weight, you're losing body fat, you're getting substantially leaner. Once you make that switch from dieting down to, okay, I'm lean enough, it's time to bulk again. That initial phase of going from the deficit to a little bit above maintenance calories to, you know, a minor surplus, you're immediately gonna basically swell up. I mean, literally, because what's gonna happen is your muscles in your body, all around you, from your fucking jaws, you know, your mewing muscles, all the way down to your calves and your forearms, every muscle fiber itself has essentially a storage portion of the cell, where you're holding on to, everybody loves throwing this word around, your muscular glycogen, right? But the more simplified way of describing that is all your muscles have sugar water in them. So when you're not eating a lot of food, your body runs off of sugar as the easiest source of energy. So what happens is, if you start dieting, you're immediately going to basically run through your sugar reserves first. That's why in that first week, it's a pretty rapid, like 5, could be a 10-pound drop in weight without really much change in your body fat at all. And once your sugar levels are depleted, your muscle glycogen is depleted, that's when you start losing body fat at a slow pace. You know, if you've ever heard of like marathon runners or swimmers or any endurance athletes talk about carb loading, you know, you have a fucking ton of pasta the night before, you have a big day of energy expenditure. That's the point. They're trying to load up their fucking sugar tanks so that they can run off of that the next day. Same thing with bodybuilders, except the point there is just to get bigger for like a bodybuilding show. So what happens is, you diet down consistently, you're now pretty lean, you're getting diced, you've got good pumps, maybe you're even lean enough to the point where you're getting some cool veins and some striations. That first week, those first few weeks, when you start bulking up again, you're gonna stay pretty much the same level of leanness, but you will now be big and full. So it's like just fucking, honestly, I'd say it's as big of a change as having a pump, right? Like right now, for me to get this leg pump, my legs are not this size because they've been inflated with water and fucking blood and everything else, you know, literally pumped. But after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks of solid eating, and once I get into a routine where I'm pushing the envelope calorie-wise, my legs are probably going to feel as big as they are right now, just baseline. Because like I said, all the muscular cells inside of me all over the place are going to be full of just sugar water. You know, that's one reason why I don't love the argument against creatine. When people say, oh, it's going to make you hold on to water. Yeah, technically. But creatine, it increases your intramuscular water retention. That doesn't make you look watery and soft. That just means inside of all your muscle cells, you're just going to be slightly more inflated. You know, so don't slack off. If you haven't been taking your creatine for a while, I mean, you're literally just fucking slapping gains off the table. So I think that's all I got. Let's cut to definitely the car talk. I might have to splice in dinner after this. I haven't done too much talk about the dieting side of things this dieting phase. Expect a dieting full day of eating in the very near future. But let's get out of here. I almost forgot to do adductors. I was about to pack up my fucking bag and get out of here. No, so I'm not kidding. Adductors, unless for whatever reason you seriously want to like decimate your adductors, like let's say you know, let's say you're a character who's inclined to want to maximize his sumo deadlifting, then yeah, I could imagine sitting here and like really get amped up to try to get fucking watermelon head crushing adductors. But it's just not necessarily something I have to work. Like I want them to be, you know, strong and pumped up and stabilized, but in the and I mean, I'm guess I'm kind of curious what other people would have to say about this. But my current perception of abductors is they're just kind of they should be worked, but it's not the end of the world. This is going to make my squats feel more stable. This is going to make my well, that's one of the main fucking benefits. I'm going to feel more stable when I'm pressing. But yeah, just sit here, you know, 6-ish sets, burn. I'm not what do you think? Is there anyone experienced watching this video who has something to comment about adductor training? Because I mean, am I missing out on crazy gains by not getting hyped up to Metallica for every one of these sets? You know, and enlighten me. What's your thoughts? But I think they just need to be pumped, and that's probably fine. Yeah, a little heavier. Don't hurt yourself, of course. Yeah. Okay. I'll just do the next 5 or 6 or so just like that. I don't think I need to record every single one. So for you, let's cut the calves. For me, I'm gonna camp out here, have some me time. There we go. Yeah, this would be cool. I mean, honestly, it's whatever. I'm not usually a massive fan of this kind of calf raise, but after a feeler rep, it's kind of cool. I'm trying to bias leg or calf raises with a straight leg rather than like the standard seated one where your leg's bent at 90. Because the basic logic that I always hear is straight leg is what's really going to build this meat up top, and seated is going to just build your entire calf. I forget the names, this, I don't know, soleus or whatever. I mean, I want more meat up here, so I'm going to do some more straight leg stuff. But, I don't know, 5, 6 sets, whatever. Get a pump. They should be burning, and then we can spray them. Start with the weak set first. With a good song, of course. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll do the same thing with the adductors. Just show the one. Sit here for a while, then we get in the car. But I got like 6 or so sets of these left. Nothing too crazy intense though. Just enough to get a nasty pump. All right. Now that was fucking nasty. That was a really good fucking leg day. I'm still, I need to get a little bit better with those RDLs because I can feel my hamstrings, but I'm not, I mean, I can tell I'm not like really putting them through their paces as much as I should be able to. You know, like with a pec fly, it's pretty obvious. You get on the machine, just doing the movement, which is, I mean, it's fucking perfect for beginners. It kind of already forces you to flex your pecs. Nothing else can come into play. But with a movement like those RDLs, it's a bit trickier because your body just naturally, to pick anything up, it instinctively wants to activate your complete posterior chain, aka your lower back, your glutes, hamstrings included. But pretty much lower back and glutes are the most dominant, power pullers in a way, right? The guys who have the biggest deadlifts, I wouldn't say necessarily have the biggest, most powerful hamstrings. I think they've got really powerful glutes and lower backs. I'm not informed as a power lifter, so that may not be true completely, but that's what I think. So I'm gonna, as I do those more, I'll get better at being able to really pull with my hamstrings. I think it might be going a little bit too low. I should, maybe I want to try to pull to more of a completely upright position, like almost a little bit closer to a regular deadlift, still hamstring biased. I can definitely tell that it started to fatigue my lower back, which is a little bit of a reason why I typically don't love heavy RDLs, or at least historically I haven't loved them, because I like doing hamstrings first. Because hamstrings first lets me get my whole leg sort of warmed up. I never, and this may not be a good thing, but before I do squats, I don't sit on the, the classic warm up where you sit and you kind of flip flop your knees back and forth and really get your hips warm. I never do any of that. And it may just be because my hips are solid, I guess. So I haven't noticed any issues. And if I do, then I'm going to have to deal with them. But having hamstrings already warmed up, including your calves, it ties into your glutes a touch, and then doing some leg extensions first to get my quads ready. By the time that I move on to squats, like when I was warming up for those squats, I did one plate, nothing. So I jumped straight to 3, rep or 2 with 3, fine, rep or 2 with 4, 1 rep with 5, and I said, all right, 5 and a 25 is going to be as heavy as I can go within good reason. So that is another benefit of the Smith machine squats as well as the heel elevated squats, and that is it takes your lower back out of the equation. If you've ever seen any videos of, even fucking, if you look at one of your buddies' PR squat videos, I can almost guarantee that they're doing it in a powerlifting kind of style. And I see it in every gym. Everybody that's squatting, apart from a few key characters, they're pretty much mainly sticking their butt out behind them and leaning forward. And depending on your biomechanics, that could be really crazy. I've seen some people squat where like their torso is this far bent forward. And if you're a power lifter, then you're gonna have to do something like that to optimize your leverages. But the squatting movement for a quad development purpose, it should look much more upright. Videos of like Olympic weightlifters squatting, where they're in just a gym where all it has is fucking barbells and bumper plates and weight stands. That's who I'm jealous of, because the way that they squat is fucking crazy. And really it's mainly to do with their incredible ankle mobility, and they do high bar. I do kind of more of a medium bar, rest the bar right on top of my rear delts, kind of my mid traps sort of thing. But what happens is a lot of people have pretty tight ankles. You included, me included, fucking everybody included. If I try to squat just standing on the flat ground, no weight, no nothing, if I wanted to squat all the way down and just kind of like kneel down, my heels are going to come off the ground. I simply cannot squat flat-footed with my body weight because my ankles are so tight. And the way that translates to a weighted squat, free weight barbell especially, is it typically forces you to lean forward, stick your butt out, keep your shins vertical, and then the squatting movement has now been transitioned from a quad-based, quad-dominant pressing to lower back, glutes, posterior chain, pretty much like a fucking glorified good morning, So if your main purpose is squatting for quad development, then I would not, actually no, I probably would say for the most part, squatting with a more upright torso is going to be very fucking beneficial for you. So there's a few ways to go about that. Maybe you need to bring your ankles in. Maybe you need to put your feet more forward or more wide. I don't know. It depends on you, man. Everybody's, thigh bone, shins, knees, hips, everyone has different biomechanics and different angles. So for somebody, they're going to have to squat with a really wide stance, toes pointed way out because of the way that their knees naturally cave in or whatever else, I don't know. And then somebody like me, which I'm not an exercise physiologist, I haven't had to like complete MRIs to like determine my most optimal squatting path. But I've squatted flat-footed with a wide shoulder width stance, feet pointed out, and it fucking hurts my knees, man. And it gets my glutes firing. I don't need a bigger butt. So over the course of time, I squatted for a bit when I started lifting. I did like my max was like, I guess, a 365. I wasn't even doing working sets at this time. This was as a beginner when I was in my like make a lift a max out day kind of phase, which the sooner you get out of that, the better. But not a massive problem with it, just to make sure you don't hurt yourself. But I would squat really wide. I'd have my heels shoulder width or maybe a little further, toes pointed out, like the fucking power lifter guy at the gym told me to do. And then I'm bending forward. I'm using my fucking glutes. My back is sore. And I didn't like it. I'm like, this sucks, man. I'd rather sit and do leg extensions. So for a pretty long while, I wasn't doing much squatting at all. Like for years, I wasn't doing any squatting. I would do some machine leg press and, I would do some sissy squats. I like doing those. I was definitely watching some Tom Platz videos, even as a beginner. So I kind of took some influence there. But I didn't really get into the squat until about 3 years ago. And that's when I kind of, I don't remember exactly what I bought a pair of squat shoes. So if you're curious, yeah, I do know about the squat shoes. I just don't like them. It's not enough elevation. And I also like wearing the Converse all the time. I don't want to change shoes. I don't love them. But somehow or other, I saw somebody squatting with their heels on that bumper plate. Or today, I only use like a 25-pound plate because the Smith machine already had an angle to it. So I don't need to have my heels too high up. But once I started doing it like that with a much more narrow stance, knees pretty much directly above my toes, something just fucking clicked, man. That works out perfectly for me. My quads get wrecked. I load it up, even with the heel elevation, which typically most people would consider a hindrance to your strength. That's how I feel comfortable. It just makes the most sense to me. I would not want to squat any other way than that. And that's kind of up to you to find out for yourself. If you know somebody who's like a serious trainer, and I mean like someone who knows their stuff, just because you have a trainer at your gym who you talk to doesn't necessarily mean he's actually, well informed, which is something you got to watch out for when you're listening to people kind of mentor you about certain things if you're coming to them for advice. But have somebody help you, give you some cues. Power lifters especially, they know a lot about that sort of your knee angle and your cave and like your groove and where you should have the bar on your back based on how long or short your arms are. But again, you kind of have to take their advice under the pretense of like you want to work your quads. So for me, fucking heel elevated, narrow, perfect. And then the Smith machine also really allows me to keep my lower back and my whole torso very upright, because I no longer have to worry about balancing the weight directly above my feet. Like when I squat with a barbell, I have to lean forward a bit more because I have to make sure that my center of gravity, my body included, however many 100 pounds of my back included, is pretty much right above. It usually ends up being a little bit behind my toes, but definitely more on the toe end of my foot. So, given that the bar isn't held up by anything else, I do have to bend forward a little more. So that's why I've been doing a lot more incline, or not incline, but Smith machine squatting. Is, for one thing, I get to be more upright, so that means my lower back is coming into play much less, and it is safer. I don't have to worry about falling sideways. I've definitely had some reps that were kind of scaring me, because forward and backward are just like crashing with the weight in a squat rack. You're pretty much fine, apart from the potential risk of like pinching your finger. If you get the squat rack set up, the safety is only a few inches below the bottom of your rep. then you can fail a rep, and you can fail a rep kind of quick, and you're good. But the Smith machine does have the added benefit of kind of keeping you from having any side to side motion. So I definitely do like it. And it's grown on me too. I did not used to love the Smith machine squat, but now it's fucking killer. So really, that's something I'm trying to say. If you're not a massive squat fan, if you're not a massive bar on your back, loading weight, hard, heavy sets sort of guy, I think you do got to give it a chance, because it does take some forethought and some actual like manual adjusting of how you're even doing it to make sure that you can enjoy it and get the proper activation. The last thing that I would want to do is, do squats in such a way that I'm just slamming my glutes and my lower back. In terms of a bodybuilding context, at least as far as I'm concerned, I want my thighs to be the big part of my legs. If anything, I kind of think smaller glutes makes your legs look bigger. Now, of course, there's a limit. If you have zero glute development, it's going to make your body look kind of funky. So that's why I'm usually a little bit questionable when I see somebody really spamming like glute bridges as a guy. If you're training specifically for power and you need that posterior chain, pulling force, like if you're a deadlifter, it makes total sense. But bodybuilder-wise, I think you're better off spending that energy on the hamstring curl, doing RDLs, regular ass squats, pressing of some variety, and then taking it from there. But yeah, I almost walked out of the gym without doing any adductors and calves. That just goes to show how much I've been skipping them. Which calves, we all get the gist. We all need to do our calves. Mine aren't too small, so I'm not freaking out, but I definitely do want bigger calves. But adductors, that's actually a little bit sneaky. Adductors, if they're weak, and they are kind of a sort of a hidden muscle group, you may not notice that it's kind of starting to mess you up. For a long time, if you've been a long time viewer, you know that I've kind of complained about my right adductor before, because even though when you squat, what do you think is going to come into play, right? Mainly quads, glutes, lower back. You think those are the main fucking drivers of your force. But your adductor comes into play too, man. So if you really start developing and hammering your quads, you're getting big and strong, you're moving around a lot of weight, but your stabilizers aren't up to par, then you're going to end up asking for fucking trouble, man. So I would definitely recommend, at least at the end of every leg day, just hop on the fucking, ball crusher machine, load it to a weight where you can do it, you're not hurting yourself, and then, just 5-6 sets. I'm not even saying take every set to failure, but just manually activating your adductors over time, it is going to make you much more stable in your whole lower body. Plus, if your adductors get bigger, it's going to make your legs thicker on the inside. So looking at you from the front, your legs are going to be bigger. Now that comes at a cost. Your legs are going to end up rubbing together. So I'm definitely picky with the underwear and the pants that I combine, because if I've got skin to skin and I'm really walking around for a while, not ideal. Not ideal. I'm definitely not big enough to the point of like uncomfortability in my normal life. Like I'm no Hafthor Bjornsson where I can't fit on a plane or I can't fit through doors. But that is something you're going to watch out for. Once your legs get big enough, just walking around will start to kind of become a hassle. But that's kind of countered by the fact that that's kind of cool, because that's only a problem that you're having because you're making serious progress. But no, really good fucking leg day today. I'm excited to just fucking hot shower, go to sleep, have a steak. Only a little bit longer. Well, we'll see. We will see. It's still in the air. Definitely no longer than a month. I can guarantee the bulk will begin sooner than that. But the exact time frame, is to be determined. But 2 weeks would not surprise me. But these last few pounds of body fat, not that I'm going to get to absolutely show dialed, they do make a bigger difference. It's kind of, it's sort of like fucking, kind of an inverse exponential in a way, right? If you are walking around with a serious amount of body fat and you lose 1 pound, that's not going to change much, But the leaner that you get, once you get down to that fucking 15-20% body fat sort of range, every pound will begin to make a much more solid impact. And the leaner that you get, right, if you're losing a consistent pound a week, then once you only have, I don't know how many pounds, but a few solid pounds of body fat all over, to take 1 pound off becomes an actual substantial percentage change in the amount that you've got on you. So these last 2 weeks, not that I need to lock in, you know, I haven't been cheating because I want to get leaner, you know. I just I'm just excited for bulking. I know I keep repeating myself, but I can't help it. Uh, so for two reasons. For one, I can't wait to be bigger, and for two, I do have a sweet tooth, right? It's not necessarily the most fun thing in the world for me to open up the fridge, pull out a popsicle, have just 10 grams of carbs worth of that, and then shut the fridge. You know, I'm more of a, you know, eat at my discretion out of the ice cream tub kind of guy. And even when I do that, I'm not just doing it mindlessly, all right? I'm not going to say massive sugar and fat intake like that is ideal for your gains. But if you put your fucking ice cream tub on the scale, zero it out, and then sit there and go crazy, you'll actually be able to at least know how many carbs you just got into your system. So, I mean, you're really just asking for trouble if you're not counting your macros. Be it bulking, dieting, even just maintaining. And even if you don't want to do it forever, even just doing it for a few weeks at a time will give you a much more solid understanding of how much food that you're actually eating. Because I think that's half of the fucking battle of working out in general and trying to make progress and make serious changes to your body. It's the fact that, you know, to the general public, and by that I mean people who aren't really, you know, knowledgeable, interested, or they just don't even talk about calories. They just, you know, eat foods for the foods they're hungry for. They don't really work out or anything. You know, the kind of the process and the intricate details and everything else about calories and cardio and energy expenditure and carbs, fats, and proteins, like that's just not even in their vocabulary. So the more that you can kind of get a gist of what's going on, right, the more of a clear image that you have of your current situation, the easier it is to be able to say, okay, I should start doing this. I got to stop doing this if I want to get to this, you know? So, oh, a little pothole there. But, I mean, you really have nothing to lose. Well, let's start with the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you start tracking your shit for a few weeks. You say, Sam, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to do this. Screw it. Whatever. That changes nothing in your life. Best case scenario, holy crap. I've only been eating 30 grams of protein per day. The FDA recommends that a girl half my weight gets like double that. Oh my God, what have I been doing? You know, to track your macros is truly to take a good glimpse at yourself in the mirror, and hopefully it should unveil some weird details about what you're eating and when you're eating and how much you're eating. Because I really hate that people, you know what I really hate? Is the guys who overestimate their calorie intake. This is the worst thing in the fucking world. Like, dude, I'm eating 6,000. No. You don't get it, bro. I can eat. I can put food down. I'm doing 10,000 a day. And then that's always coupled with, but I can't grow. You know, I love that. I've been seeing a lot of TikTok posts and just like Instagram reels talk about that exact thing. Yeah, man, we need a fucking paradigm shift in the lifting community of all ages to make not tracking your macros the weird guys, right? And it's I know it's a hard sell, you know. Oh, yeah, this is Sam. You know, he's a little bit funky, right? Every time he eats something, he has to put it on the scale and plug it into his phone. You know, he has to make sure he eats a certain amount all the time. I get it. You know, it is kind of it's a task, but it's not a mindless one, and it's not a rewardless one. Right? Going through pretty much anything that takes difficulty and effort, pretty much 90% of the time, as long as you're not doing something completely stupid, it's gonna, you know, give you fucking benefits, right? The whole reason that working out in general is cool, I mean, well, for somebody like me, I just like it because I like being big and muscular. But just in general, not even for like a crazy bodybuilder type, but for anybody to get in shape, just being a fit dude, the reason that that's cool is because it takes a while and it takes fucking constant effort. And, you know, the fact that not a lot of people end up even doing it. So it's kind of the barrier to entry of the fact that it's kind of just hard. There's not necessarily a total cheat code secret that makes it, you know, kind of fucking cool, man. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a crazy status symbol, but it is cool, and it's cool because it's kind of hard, and that's the fun part, you know. That should not surprise you, right? We all know this, and this will be my last little statement. This is something I was gonna get into a little bit earlier, and it comes with just, you need to have a shift in your perception of yourself in terms of, you know, what you can handle, what you can manage, what you really want to do, and, you know, really convince yourself that you can do it, right? I'm not trying to say if you just convince yourself hard enough that you're gonna, you know, get accepted to Yale and become a rocket scientist. But odds are, if that's your shit, and you spend days upon days and hours and just consistently working towards something, definitely not fucking impossible, you know. Because when you look at any percentage of, you know, it's like, what percentage of lifters can bench 315, or, you know, what percentage of people in the world can squat 400 pounds, or whatever, you know, what percentage of people can run a marathon? You know, who knows? That's just that percentage includes people who aren't even fucking trying. So if it's a 0.1% of people in the whole world who can bench 315, cool. You know, that's just a number. 99% of people don't even give a shit. They're not even trying. So then, okay, 10%, let's cut it down now. So 10% of people who are actually kind of trying and going to the gym can bench 315. And this isn't an exact stat. I'm just using it as an example, right? If you kind of narrow that down and you narrow it down continually, then you get to a point where it's, you know, 80% of people who train for X amount of years, count their macros, actively bulk and maintain a weight gain, you know, protocol, you know, go through periods of time, the percentage is just going to fucking rise, you know. The percentage of people who can get to a 315 bench, or, you know, get any accolade of anything, that percentage goes to 100 fucking percent when you only include the people who seriously want it and are doing everything they can do in their fucking power to get it on a consistent basis, right? So that's where it's pretty much just within your own fucking control, man. If I wanted to drop everything and try my damnedest to become an Olympic level archer, I'm not going to say I have very good odds in general, but how many people are even going for it? How many people are going to do that for hours upon hours, year after year, continually, right? I don't think it's out of the question, you know? I think if I wanted to make that my shit and I could practice it for like 3 hours every day for the next few years, I think it could be feasible, you know? Now, of course, there is uncertainties, right? There are guys who fucking, you know, are seriously working harder than somebody else but don't get the same end results. But if they didn't try at all, then they'd get absolutely fucking nowhere. So, you know, think when I hear guys thinking about like, oh, well, you know, I don't really have like a massive appetite, or like I don't have really good tricep insertions, or like, you know, my genetics are, you know, everybody in my family is, you know, they all eat this way, and, you know, they're calling me weird for doing. Look, there is going to be some backlash. There is going to be some drag as you fucking plow your way through trying to get something serious done, right? Fucking everybody in my family was looking at me like a freak when I was 16 years old, drinking egg whites and eating sardines because I wanted to get like seriously high quality protein intake, and, you know, tons of omega-3 and like the creatine and like all the nutrients and whatever else. You know, it's not there's not much mass celebration of effort once you are beyond the age of fucking 10 years old, right? If you got a 10-year-old kid playing baseball everybody is cheering his ass off to go to practice, and they love it when he's fucking at a competition, you know. But he, now, you know, I'm not necessarily as old as somebody who would probably say this, but at some point you kind of have to grow up and realize, like, okay, if I want to do this, I have to be able to do it without anybody else's like serious emotional support, at least not on a consistent basis. Because anybody that gets anything done, anything cool done, they do it because they're internally motivated, right? Every time I see comments that are ripping on me for working out or whatever, I mean, it's just a part of the trade as you're posting workout shit. It fucking gets me fired up, you know? Like, I like it because I know that this is my shit. So that's where you just kind of have to be able to visualize yourself going to the gym on a fucking near daily basis for the next few years, and I can guarantee you're going to look like a freak. Now, I don't necessarily mean a 250-pound freak or a 180-pound freak. That's very dependent on your choice of supplementation. A little bit of a taboo subject there. But, I mean, even when I look back at me when I'm fucking 180 lean, I still look pretty fucking cool because I was in shape. I had a good build, right? Now I just want to get, you know, crazy big. That's sort of my deeper drive, per se. But no matter what, whatever your end goal is, whatever path you want to end up walking down, it can be done. The only question is, are you the guy to do it? And that's not for me to answer. You know, it's the odds are low, right? The odds of people who seriously get their goals accomplished are low, but that's including the percentage of the people that just gave up and they just couldn't handle consistent effort and they didn't want to work at something. So that's all you have to do to separate yourself from 90% of the people who you're in. I mean, not that you're in competition with anyone else, but look, for the sake of this statement, yeah, you are. You know, if 1 million people get a gym membership every fucking year, 50% of them are not even going to use it. 30% of them are barely going to use it. And then that last 20%, that's guys who are going to go in consistently. Now, of that 20%, probably only 10% of the guys are seriously grinding, and only 5% of the guys are doing that as well as dealing with their diet. And then probably an even smaller percentage of those guys are doing hard, consistent training that they're trying to optimize over time, doing their cardio, counting their calories, making sure they're getting quality protein sources, kind of revolving their routine such that they can accommodate a 2-hour portion of time dedicated to the gym day for fucking thousands of days, right? So that's what happens. You know, there's no mystery that somebody that is able to do that is going to get results. Really, the only kind of question is, like I said 2 fucking seconds ago, are you that guy? Right? Is this something that you want to do? And that's not a rhetorical question. You know, if you don't want to become if you don't want the weightlifting in the gym to be your thing, it doesn't have to be. I definitely think you should work out in general just because it's good for you. You're going to feel better. Having a bit of muscle on your frame is just going to make life easier. You can pick up heavier shit in your day and it's not going to be such a chore because you're literally just a stronger guy. But no matter what it could be, if you have one thing that you know and like you think about it and it comes up and you're not doing it because you want someone else's approval or anything else, it's because you know, like, oh, I used to do this when I was younger. I really liked it. I had a really good aptitude for it. I don't know why I stopped doing it. If you leave that little thing, if you leave that little dream that you have smoldering and you just give up on it, I can guarantee that by the time it's too late for you to really get into it, you are going to regret it. That doesn't have to be the gym. That can be fucking any endeavor that you really want to get into. So if you feel like the odds are against you, don't forget, 80% of the people who might be interested in whatever that thing is that you want to do, they're not even willing to try. So for you to go through that first step and begin to take, you know, reasonable, even just tiny moves towards whatever that thing is, you just separated yourself from fucking 95% of the people in the world. And I think that 5%, those guys who are able to go after the things that they really want, they're having the most fun. And they don't even have to get it. You know, it's, right? Some guys fucking work out all their life. They don't really get the trophy at the end of it, per se, right? They don't get that spotlight at the end. Not that that's the point, but whatever. I mean, if we look into straight up competitive bodybuilders, there's absolute complete legends where, they didn't really get the accolades that they may have, been putting in the same amount of work as the next guy to deserve. But even just from going through that process, there's still a fucking winner. You would not look at a Kevin Levrone and think, oh, he only got second. Or he's a fucking legend. Same thing with Tom Platz. Same thing with fucking every character like that. Of course, I'm going to relate it to bodybuilding, And it's because these guys knew what they wanted and they did what it took to get it. So I can almost guarantee that something that you might want. Really, it's just, how quickly and how soon and how much of a step can you take towards whatever that thing is. And I can't stress enough, you need to be urgent with this, right? The quicker that you can, point yourself towards something and start moving, the better. Because, let's just look at this like with our human pattern recognition kind of brain, right? If you might want to start doing something, let's say working out, if you might want to go to the gym and maybe get a membership, you go in, you sign the paper, you take your picture, do your first workout. If that's something you might be interested in, you think about it from time to time, but you never end up doing it. Let's say you've been thinking about it kind of, you have some buddies who are into it, and you've been kind of like on the fence about it. You think like, oh, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. If you do that for more than 2 months straight, then it has become a permanent fucking habit. So anything that you can do for 2 months, 3 months on a continuous basis, it's a pretty low likelihood that you're suddenly going to break out of that pattern out of nowhere. So sure, you may think it's just a one-day decision, like, oh, this weekend I'll go over there. There's an Anytime right down the street. It's pretty cool. I know some of the guys who live there. From my fucking buddy from work works there. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. If you don't do that, the odds that you're gonna tomorrow and the odds that you're gonna the next day, they're not improving. They're decreasing. So you gotta act. You have got to act. That is my final statement to leave on. So plan for tomorrow and kind of the rest of tonight. Get some food in my system. Have a gosh dang good night's sleep. Cardio in the morning, followed by a despicable chest day tomorrow. And maybe, I don't know, maybe something. We'll see. I'll get some more. I say this all the time. I'm such a chump for it. I'm gonna get some more kind of special stuff kind of going. More food stuff. Yeah, I'm a total chump for not doing more of that. You'll see some more cooking stuff at least in the very near future. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And I know you didn't do your cardio today, but I don't want to rip on you for it.